So you probably grew up learning English with the textbook, right? Was that helpful? Most people would say no. Maybe it was for you, but here's the thing. I am against textbooks. I have parents who message me to check in. What textbook do you use, Hannah, for my kid? I want my kid to take lessons with you. What textbook do you use? I will say, I don't use a textbook. I don't use a textbook, but why? All right, let's think about this. When you look at a textbook, when you engage with a textbook, when you're working with a textbook, how do you feel? You don't feel a lot of emotions. You don't feel any excitement. And actually, what's happening is you're memorizing all these structures, sentence structures, and you're thinking so carefully about the verb tense and how the words go together to make the sentence. And you're also comparing that to your native language, right? That's what a lot of textbooks do. They show you the translations directly. And that's why when you are in the real world, or maybe when you will go into the English speaking world, you'll find that you can't express yourself as freely as you want to. You probably face this already, and it's not because of you. It's the textbooks. It's the textbooks and that style of learning. It's not natural. It's not natural. And you also probably know, maybe you didn't, but the language that they teach you is not common anymore, especially when it comes to American English. They tell you things like, if you want to start small talk, you start with, hello, how are you? I'm fine, and you? Now, yeah, that stuff exists in the real world, but there's just so much to it. You can't teach it with a textbook. So what do you use? So what do you use, right? We have to use the same way that we learned our native language. Yeah. And you can stop a second, ask yourself, how did I learn my native language? Did your mom hand you a textbook when you were 3 years old? No, yeah, I know, it's crazy. But that's what they do in schools. Why? Because it's easy to follow for the teachers. Yeah, it's just very step by step. But that's not the real world. That's why I much prefer the input. We need more input. So that's listening and reading, listening and reading. And for reading, I would like to focus on natural reading. So authentic reading, stuff that we see in everyday texts, like stuff that's practical, right? That's the biggest thing that I'm worried about with my students is that they spent years learning stuff that's not very practical, vocabulary that I've never even heard of because that's just what they had in the textbooks. So hopefully from now on, you don't buy any more textbooks. And let me say, there are strengths to textbooks, yes. You can really understand the grammar structure, why it goes in that certain way. You probably ask questions like, why do I use this word instead of that word? Why? Why? And in what situations? That's good. That's why I do offer the training called from a website, IXL. But there needs to be a balance. It cannot be full on textbook, textbook, textbook. There needs to be a variety because, okay, I'm not just going to tell you what to do. This is literally what I did. Literally what they did for us in my Spanish class, and I'm so grateful. They did a combination between audios, videos, us presenting, like cooking recipes. They did like little articles about so many different topics. And it was everyday stuff. Everyday stuff. So this is what I really appreciated about my class. I I can't remember any part of my Spanish class where we opened the textbook. We didn't even have a textbook, actually. We did worksheets, but that's interactive, right? It's all about the balance between input and output and knowing what's practical and getting exposure to the natural context. So hopefully, I want you from now on to get more exposure to natural listening. Natural listening and natural speaking. So the biggest thing is the easy part, which is listening. I'm not saying easy is listening. Excuse me. I'm not saying listening is easy, but it's wonderful to find so many resources on YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Google, everywhere. So I totally recommend you to start with vlogs, podcasts, interviews, stuff like that. Because those three are interactive. That's conversation. You didn't see any of that in school. You didn't watch people have conversation. That's the easiest way for you to know how to absorb the phrases. Like, how's it going? Have a good one. What's up? These interactive phrases. How to respond after someone tells you something shocking, like, oh, no way. They didn't teach you that in the textbook. So, does that make sense? Do you agree with me? It's crazy. But I hope that from now on you can really feel good about this shift, this realization that you have now. So throw textbook English out the window. If you want to know more about how you can get more natural in your English, then you can definitely hit me in the comments. You can DM me on Instagram because that's exactly what I'm here for. I'm here for you. It's gonna get better. I believe in you. You got this. Nice.